Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the breakfast news on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines this morning. Another terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir. Militants fire at a security post guarding minority community in Shopian district. One policeman killed, another cop and civilian injured. Home Minister reviews security with officials of the 4 states that share border with Pakistan. Rajnath Singh announces that India will seal the entire border with Pakistan by December 2018. India to raise the issue of cross-border terrorism at the 8th BRICS summit in Goa. BIMSTEC members invited to summit to further strengthen support to India on the issue. Matthew triggers mass evacuations along the coast from Florida to North Carolina. Almost 1.2 million homes and businesses left without power as the hurricane blasts through the east coast. And India to take on New Zealand in the 3rd test at Indore today. Kohli's men will look for a whitewash after winning the first 2 tests, while the Kiwis will look to salvage some pride. Well, a policeman was killed and a constable and a civilian were injured after terrorists fired at a security post in Shopian district of Kashmir on Friday night. According to security officials, the firing took place at 8:30 p.m. at a police security post in Herpura area of Shopian. Militants tried to snatch police weapons from policemen deployed at the minority post guarding families of the minority Pandit community. A search operation has been launched to track down the terrorists after they managed to escape after the attack. The injured have been shifted to the army base hospital. Meanwhile, amid escalating tension between India and Pakistan and repeated ceasefire violations along the international border, Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh on Friday said that the government has decided to seal the entire stretch of the Indo-Pak border by December 2018. The Home Minister met officials of the 4 states that share a border with Pakistan to take stock of the security measures in place on the border. Here's a report. Home Minister Rajnath Singh announced on Friday that India will seal the entire border with Pakistan by December 2018. In a meeting to review security with Home Ministers and senior officials of the 4 states that share border with Pakistan, Rajnath Singh said that a proper monitoring mechanism would be in place at the central and state government levels for the same.
दिसंबर 2018 तक भारत-पाक सीमा को पूरी तरह से सील करने का जो फैसला हम लोगों ने किया है, इस लक्ष्य को हासिल करने के लिए जो भी एक्शन प्लान तैयार किया है वो एक्शन प्लान पूरी तरह से टाइम बाउंड है और जो भी इस एक्शन प्लान को हम इंप्लीमेंट करेंगे तो इसकी प्रॉपर मॉनिटरिंग होगी, पीरियोडिकल भी होगी, मंथली भी होगी, क्वार्टरली भी होगी.
Rajnath Singh also said a new concept called Border Security Grid will also be implemented with the suggestions of all stakeholders of Jammu and Kashmir, Rajasthan, Punjab and Gujarat. He also cautioned leaders to exercise restraint in their comments on security challenges before the country at a time when tension between India and Pakistan has increased.
यह एक नया कंसेप्ट है और इस बैठक में भी संबंधित गृह मंत्रियों ने, मुख्यमंत्री, उप मुख्यमंत्री जी ने सबने अपने सुझाव दिए हैं. उस आधार पर हम लोग इस बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी ग्रिड को फाइनल शेप देंगे और उस आधार पर स्टेट्स को गाइडलाइन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा जारी की जाएंगे.
The review meet was attended by Rajasthan Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje, Deputy Chief Minister of Punjab Sukhbir Singh Badal, Gujarat's Minister of State for Home Pradeep Singh Jadeja and Jammu and Kashmir Chief Secretary Brijraj Sharma. On the second day of the meet on Saturday, Singh will tour border areas of Rajasthan and visit outposts to assess the situation along the Indo-Pak border. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television. Meanwhile, over a week since the surgical strikes across the LOC, the verbal duel between political parties on the issue has intensified further. While the BJP and the Congress blamed each other for politicizing the issue and expressed support for the armed forces, leaders from other parties advised restraint on the matter. Here's more.
कल कांग्रेस पार्टी के उपाध्यक्ष राहुल गांधी ने जब जवानों के खून की दलाली का शब्द प्रयोग किया, तब उन्होंने सभी सीमाओं को लांघ दिया है, इंतहा ही कर दी है। मैं मानता हूं कि राहुल गांधी का इस शब्द प्रयोग इस सेना की वीरता का अपमान है, देश की 125 करोड़ जनता का अपमान है।
Responding to the remarks made by Rahul Gandhi at a public rally on Thursday, the BJP president accused the Congress of playing politics on the issue of surgical strikes across the LOC. The Congress vice president also faced criticism from other parties, including some allies.
राहुल गांधी जी ने जो सेना के शहादत को, उनकी बहादुरी को खून की दलाली बोला है, ये मुझे लगता है ठीक नहीं है। इसकी कड़ी निंदा करते हैं हम।
राहुल गांधी ठीक से मैटर को नहीं रख पाया।
The Congress tried to defend its leader while launching a spirited counterattack on the BJP and Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
जो एक्सटर्न हुए हों, तड़ीबाज हों, वो हमें बताएंगे कि किसके मूल में खोट है। जिनके खिलाफ मर्डर के मुकदमे हों, वो आज हमें बताएंगे कि राहुल गांधी के मूल में खोट है।
कुर्बानी की घड़ी में उनकी शहादत पर गौरव करने और उनका दुख बांटने की बजाय सम्मान समारोह गोवा से और आगरा तक उन्हें फुर्सत है, पर किसी शहीद के घर जाने की ना प्रधानमंत्री ना रक्षा मंत्री को फुर्सत है।
Indian forces conducted surgical strikes across the LOC in Jammu and Kashmir last week to neutralize terrorist groups. Since then, several controversial statements from both the ruling party and the opposition have fired a verbal duel between the both sides. With Pranav Goswami, Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
But 3 months on, the situation in the Kashmir Valley refuses to calm down. The valley remained shut for the 91st day on Friday as offices and business establishments and educational institutions stayed closed. With schools and colleges being shut for 3 months now, the education of the state's children is now the biggest civilian concern.
Kashmir remained under lockdown for the 91st day on Friday. The valley is in the middle of one of its worst unrests, which started in July following the death of Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist Burhan Wani. More than 80 civilians have died and thousands have been injured in these 3 months. Security and police personnel dressed in riot gear is a common sight in the valley, where roads stay largely deserted. Schools, markets and offices have remained shut for 3 months. Education is perhaps the worst hit.
3 महीने से घर में बैठे, हमारी पढ़ाई पूरी तरह से मुतासिर हुए। हमारा सिलेबस पूरा इनकम्प्लीट है, ज़्यादातर के प्रैक्टिकल जो हमने अभी मार्च से देखे भी नहीं थी। और मैंने इन 3 महीनों में कुछ नहीं पढ़ा है, क्योंकि हम घर से बाहर नहीं निकलते। बहुत ख़राब है यहाँ के माहौल भी, और इसलिए हम बाहर कैसे निकल सकते हैं, हम एग्ज़ाम नहीं दे सकते।
Worried parents are now urging the government to restore normalcy as soon as possible.
जो बच्चे कल तक किताबें लेके चल रहे थे, तो आज वो घर में बैठे हैं, उनको अब वहम गुमान भी नहीं है, किताबों की तरह उनका ध्यान भी नहीं जाता है। बाहर से जब देखते हैं, कहीं पे टायर गैस शेलिंग, कहीं पे गोलियां, कहीं पे पैलेट गन्स, बच्चे भी उकता जाते हैं कि आखिर वजह क्या है। ये डिप्रेशन तो उनको किसी भी हालत में हो जाएगा, लेकिन इस डिप्रेशन को दूर करना पड़ेगा, गवर्नमेंट को सोचना पड़ेगा, जल्दी से सोचना पड़ेगा कि क्या करना है।
Separatists have repeatedly extended their shutdown call, keeping normal life in the valley paralyzed, even as they accuse the security forces of using excessive force. Even though curfew is not in place, restrictions on the assembly of people under Section 144 continues. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, having failed consistently to internationalize the Kashmir issue, Pakistan now seems to be working on a different track by trying to link peace in Afghanistan with the situation in Kashmir. Pakistani Prime Minister's Special Envoy Mushahid Hussain Syed claimed in Washington that the world can't compartmentalize peace, stating that there can't be peace in Kabul and not Kashmir. He claimed that people of South Asia can't be left hostage to hostility of the past. The Pakistani effort seems to hold out a threat to the entire South Asian region. The effort comes in the wake of as many as 5 countries pulling out of the SAARC summit in Islamabad recently. Meanwhile, Pakistan Parliament on Friday unanimously passed a resolution rejecting India's assertion that Kashmir is an integral part, even as it called for a result-oriented dialogue with New Delhi for resolution of all outstanding issues, including Kashmir. Meanwhile, the US has categorically stated that it will work with countries in South Asia to eliminate safe havens of terrorists that also pose a threat to India. But while calling for a meaningful Indo-Pak dialogue to address differences, including the Kashmir issue, State Department spokesperson John Kirby refrained from commenting on a bill in the US Congress that calls on America to declare Pakistan a terrorist state. The US also warned its citizens against non-essential travel to Pakistan, saying the country continues to experience significant terrorist violence, including sectarian attacks. Meanwhile, in another development, the Pakistan Army said all communication channels with the Indian military, including the hotline, are open. Director General of the Inter-Services Public Relations, Lieutenant General Asim Bajwa, said contacts between Pakistani and Indian armies were being maintained. He also confirmed that the Director Generals of Military Operations had talked over the phone after the cross-LOC firing. Well, India will raise the issue of cross-border terrorism at the 8th BRICS Summit in Goa to be held on the 15th and 16th of October. To display support on the issue, India has invited the leaders of 7-member BIMSTEC regional grouping to the summit. The group includes immediate neighbours Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bhutan and Nepal.
The five-nation BRICS summit will focus on global economic downturn and cooperation with emerging countries during the two-day-long BRICS summit in Goa next week. India will also take up cross-border terrorism as a major agenda in the summit and will urge member countries to join efforts to tackle terrorism, including action against countries providing safe havens and arms to terrorists.
So we will be looking at global economic and political situation, and obviously terrorism is a very important part of that. Then we will look at global growth prospects, role of BRICS in leading this global growth and our contributions to it. Then in way forward, we'll look at BRICS and BRICS cooperation with other emerging economies.
While Prime Minister Narendra Modi will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping before the commencement of the summit to create unanimity on terrorism, the issue of China blocking ban of Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar by the UN will not be taken up at BRICS. The Prime Minister will also hold bilateral discussion with Russian President Vladimir Putin on a range of issues, including cooperation in the areas of defense, security, trade and investment. The meeting between the two comes in the backdrop of the first ever joint Russia-Pakistan military exercises last month.
The three other agreements that have already been agreed are MOU on environmental cooperation, regulation on BRICS customs cooperation, and an MOU on cooperation between diplomatic academies of BRICS.
India will also make efforts to revive the BIMSTEC, which assumed significance with the collapse of the recent SAARC summit, after 4 countries apart from India pulled out of the meet to be hosted by Pakistan over the issue of cross-border terrorism. This is Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervour dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Friday discussed international taxation issues with Commonwealth finance ministers to devise a common strategy in the backdrop of the Panama Papers leak. Jaitley, who is on an official visit to the United States, chaired the Commonwealth finance ministers meeting at the IMF headquarters in Washington. During the meeting, 2 important issues, the economics of climate change and financing climate adaptation and mitigation, and international taxation, a Commonwealth conversation around the Panama Papers, were discussed and deliberated. Jaitley also chaired the Governing Council meeting of the BRICS Contingent Reserve Arrangement, wherein he announced the CRA being operational now. Well, Chairman of Bharti Airtel on Friday blamed high pricing for the poor response to government's mobile phone spectrum auction that raised a total of $9.9 billion. Sunil Bharti Mittal said that the figure was well below the $84 billion worth of spectrum on offer. However, as carriers shunned the priciest category of airwaves, snapping up less than half of the total on offer. He, however, welcomed the transparent auction process adopted by the government. Market leader Bharti Airtel spent $2.13 billion to acquire 173.8 megahertz of spectrum across 3 spectrum bands, including 1,800 megahertz, 2,100 megahertz and 2,300 megahertz in the spectrum auction. The government had budgeted for 646 billion rupees as revenue from the auction in the current fiscal year ending March. It will receive some 320 billion rupees upfront as carriers are allowed to make payments in installments. The government found no takers for the best quality and the priciest 700 megahertz airwaves offered for the first time.
The pricing, you have to yourself see. Nearly 60,000 crores for a small, little, tiny 5 megahertz it was bound to not get any response. So nobody should be surprised. I think the government did very well by putting on the table a lot of spectrum, and the government must be congratulated of running a fantastic, open, transparent process.
Well, moving on to some international news now. Hurricane Matthew is currently battering the coastline of the United States of Florida. After downgraded to a Category 2 storm, the hurricane is packing gusts of 177 kilometers per hour and causing heavy downpours across the coastal areas. And it continues to pose severe flooding threat to much of Florida as well as coastal Georgia and South Carolina. Earlier, Matthew killed at least 800 people in Haiti on its destructive march north through the Caribbean.
Matthew is a very big and a very bad beast, and it's not going to go away in the next couple of days. Matthew's obviously battered Haiti. It went on to Cuba. Bahamas took a real hammering in the last couple of days, and it's now turning its fury towards Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina.
Hurricane Matthew described as a bad beast. The most powerful Caribbean storm in a decade, it has caused massive destruction, especially in Haiti. Even as rescue efforts are underway, the death toll here has soared to more than 800. The United Nations has warned it could take days for the full impact of Hurricane Matthew in Haiti to emerge.
In the case of Haiti, what we've seen is that 2-3 years after the earthquake, the interest and the commitment of donors and partners to the reconstruction and rebuilding effort diminished quite significantly. And that, I think, has fueled a level of fragility that, of course, makes us incapable of dealing with shocks.
Most of the deaths in Haiti have been reported from the southwestern coast, where many areas remain cut off by the storm. Town of Jeremy has been 80% destroyed, with hundreds of flattened houses. Some 350,000 people are in need of assistance, but communication with the areas worst affected has been hampered by lack of phone coverage and downed power lines. Worse, with the sanitation system already overwhelmed in Haiti, there are now concerns about a surge in cholera cases.
Mais nous pas rien. Ça c'est business nous. Regardez. Pas rien qui rete. Tout bagay mouillé, tout bagay écrasé, pas gen kay, pas gen manger.
One of the things we'll be doing in the beginning is getting those communication systems up. We'll bring in technology to help do that. We also have warehouses with relief supplies that we'll be distributing, and most worried about cholera. So we will be helping to distribute aqua tabs to purify the water.
While Hurricane Matthew has weakened slightly and degraded to a Category 2 storm, it is currently winding its way up the southeastern U.S. coast. Florida coast is being battered by strong winds and rain. 4 deaths have been reported due to storm here. More than 500,000 homes have lost power. State of emergency remains in place in Florida and in the states of Georgia, South Carolina and North Carolina. At least 3 million inhabitants have been ordered to evacuate their homes. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the 2016 Nobel Peace Prize has been awarded to Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos in recognition of his efforts to end the 5-decade-long war in his country. This comes despite a shock referendum defeat for a proposed peace deal that Santos had reached last month with FARC chief Rodrigo Londonio after nearly 4 years of talks.
The Nobel Committee has recognized Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos's efforts to end 5 decades of war in his country. He has been awarded this year's Nobel Peace Prize.
The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2016 to Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos for his resolute efforts to bring the country's more than 50-year-long civil war to an end, a war that has cost the lives of at least 220,000 Colombians and displaced close to 6 million people. The award should also be seen as a tribute to the Colombian people who, despite great hardships and abuses, have not given up hope of a just peace, and to all the parties who have contributed to this peace process.
The announcement on Friday comes less than a week after Colombians voted no to the agreement signed between the Marxist rebels and the country's government. Despite the vote, however, Santos has promised to revive the peace plan, which was believed to be too lenient on the FARC guerrillas.
The outcome of the vote was not what President Santos wanted. A narrow majority of the over 13 million Colombians who cast their ballots said no to the accord. This result has created great uncertainty as to the future of Colombia. There is a real danger that the peace process will come to a halt and that civil war will flare up again. This makes it even more important that the parties headed by President Santos and FARC guerrilla leader Rodrigo Londonio continue to respect the ceasefire.
65-year-old Santos led a major offensive against the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC, when he was the country's defense minister from 2006 to 2009. After becoming president in 2010, he shifted tack and negotiated for a settlement with the guerrillas, even putting his presidency at stake due to the fierce opposition to talks from former allies. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, here's a roundup of the other international news and world wrap. US President Barack Obama has formally eased long-standing sanctions on Myanmar. Obama issued the executive order weeks after meeting Myanmar's de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Myanmar's success, or rather access to trade benefits for poorer nations was suspended in 1989 over human rights abuses. The US has officially accused Russia of cyber attacks against political organizations in order to interfere with its election. US Department of Homeland Security said that the recent hacked emails were consistent with the methods and motivation of Russia-directed efforts. Russia says claims of its involvement in the cyber attacks were nonsense. Data revealing discussions within the Democratic Party was hacked earlier this year. An increase in activity at North Korea's nuclear test site has been reported. A monitoring group says it could signal preparations for a new test or a collection of data from its last one. North Korea conducted its 5th and biggest nuclear test on September 9th, and there has been speculation that Pyongyang could mark the October 10th anniversary of the founding of its Workers' Party with a 6th detonation. The US has expressed disappointment with the way Russia and China have been exercising their veto power in the United Nations Security Council. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said that improper use of veto power prevents as much action from the UN as they would like to see. The US also underscored the need to reform the powerful wing of the world body. Moving on to some sports news now. In a big blow to the BCCI, the Supreme Court has stopped it from releasing funds to state associations, postponing its hearing until October 17th on the BCCI versus the Lodha Committee matter. The Supreme Court also said that the state cricket bodies will not disburse the funds already given to them without passing a resolution to implement the Supreme Court-ordered SC-ordered reforms. The Apex Court has also asked BCCI President Anurag Thakur to file an affidavit stating whether he asked the ICC to say that implementation of the SC order reforms would lead to the BCCI being disqualified. In response, the BCCI said that they were not running away from the reforms, but there were certain technical and legal issues that needed to be addressed. The BCCI has already disbursed funds to 17 state units, but there are around 13 more state units yet to receive any funds.
बीसीसीआई के अध्यक्ष को पर्सनल एफिडेविट देना है कोर्ट में और ये बताना है कि उन्होंने आईसीसी से ये पैरवी किया था कि नहीं, कि वो लिख के दे दे कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट का इंटरफेरेंस होने से आईसीसी से बीसीसीआई बर्खास्त हो जाएगा। ये दुर्भाग्य है कि बीसीसीआई के अध्यक्ष के खिलाफ में आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट से ऐसा आदेश पारित हुआ है।
Well, the series already in their pocket and the #1 ranking cemented, a dominant India will take on New Zealand in the third test at Indore today. Virat Kohli's men will be looking for another clean sweep of a test rubber at home. The hosts had blanked Australia 4-0 in 2012-13 and the West Indies in the next season. They nearly repeated the feat against South Africa last year, and the team's impressive form in the recent past makes India favourites in the first ever test being hosted by Indore. New Zealand, who have competed well in phases against the rampaging home team so far, have an unenviable task of stopping the hosts from notching up their 12th win at home from 14 encounters. The Kiwis would hope that Captain Kane Williamson, who missed the second game due to illness, regains full fitness to lead them for one last-ditch effort to score a rare victory on Indian soil. The Indians lead the series 2-0 after beating the Kiwis in Kanpur and Kolkata. Let's now get your roundup on the other sports news in our sports beat. South Korea stunned favourites India, pulling off a thrilling 34-32 win in the opening match of the Kabaddi World Cup. The Indians raced to an early lead in the combative contact sport that mixes tag and wrestling, but the Koreans rallied to overpower the defending champions. The packed stadium was stunned into silence as the Indians failed to hold on to their narrow 3-point lead in the closing minutes of the match. Andy Murray advanced to the semi-final of the China Open on Friday, beating Kyle Edmund 7-6, 6-2. The top-seeded Murray hit 12 aces and saved 3 of the 4 break points to set up a semi-final match against David Ferrer. The 5th-seeded Spaniard beat Alexander Zverev of Germany 6-7, 6-1, 7-5. Marin Cilic and David Goffin advanced to the semi-finals of the Japan Open on Friday, and they will play each other for a spot in the final. 5th-seeded Goffin rallied to beat Yao Sousa 1-6, 7-5, 6-2, while 4th-seeded Cilic beat injury-plagued Juan Monaco 7-5, 6-1. In the other semi-final, Nick Kyrgios will face 2nd-seeded Gael Monfils. Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a good day.